Hi, Jennifer Stuart here, and I'm so excited today to have Shonda Moralis on as part of my Peace and Joy parenting series. And Shonda is an amazing person helping out moms. I really appreciate what she does. She is a psychotherapist in a private practice with over 20 years of clinical experience. She earned an MSW from the University of Pennsylvania and a BA from Dickinson College. She's trained as a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher in 2006, and she has co-developed various mindfulness group curriculum, presents workshops and keynotes in numerous settings, and writes an ongoing column for psychologytoday.com. Through her One Mindful Tribe trainings, Shonda brings mindfulness into the workplace with a focus on women leaders. Her award-winning first book, Breathe Mama Breathe, 5-Minute Mindfulness for Busy Moms, is a Parents Magazine mom must read. Shonda is also a mom to a 6 and 16-year-old, and therefore has endless opportunities to practice what she preaches. So welcome, Shonda. How are you doing today?
Thanks. Great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to have you chatting with me. I know firsthand as being a mom and working with families that being a mom is an amazing job, but also one of the most stressful that you can have at times, depending on the day and the moment, right?
Definitely.
So,
Right.
I'm so grateful that you've taken on this task to help moms be able to figure out how to stay calm and peaceful in the midst of the chaos.
That's right. Right.
So, and I was wanting to ask you, what inspired you to kind of start getting into this and to write your book originally?
Right. So I had been meditating faithfully for a half an hour every day since my daughter was 3. And I knew, fast forward, when she was about to turn 10 and I was pregnant with my son, that there was no way there would be a half an hour meditation in my day with a newborn. So I wanted to come up with some really easy, simple, flexible ways to keep mindfulness in my life with a newborn and a full-time position, and all of the other responsibilities we juggle. And at the same time, in my therapy office, I was seeing a lot of moms who were struggling with overwhelm and kind of the same general issues that we all face as a mom. So I came up with the 5 minutes because what I was seeing is people who wanted to meditate and add this to their lives were ambitious about it, but to sit down for 20 or 30 minutes, it just wouldn't happen. And then they'd feel like failures or would never get into that habit. So I'm a strong believer that we can all carve out 5 minutes in our day somewhere to do this, and that it's more important to have that daily habit established than it is to sit down and meditate for 30 minutes and then hop up and not be able to do it again for 2 more weeks. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I think that's true with anything in life, right? If we can just exercise for a little bit, or at least eat healthy most of the day, or anything like that, right? It's
Exactly.
better, fit it in regularly, than try to fit in, one whole long workout, and then not work out again for 6 days. So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, definitely. So I guess our mind is the same way then, right? We have to regularly exercise our mind. So.
Exactly. On our brains. Yes.
Yeah. And so what kinds of things do you touch on in your book? What are some examples of some of the little 5-minute tidbits that moms can do?
Right. So I lay the foundation to establish a 5-minute daily habit of meditation. And then I have something called mindful breaks, which are reminders and pauses throughout our day to bring our full attention to what's happening in the moment. So, and there are over 60 in the book. So we can be mindful while we're folding laundry and bring our full, rather than thinking about everything we have to do or grumbling about the fact that we're doing it. What happens if we change our perception and bring our full attention to the feel of the clothes, the texture, the smell, the warmth, maybe if it came right out of the dryer, if we're lucky enough for that. And even just, noticing how the clothes are starting to grow as, they get larger and larger over time, which it just feels like it happens so fast. Yeah. So I'd like pull my little guy who's 6, and then my daughters are like same size as me. And, it's amazing. So so how something so simple and something we take for granted, that could be either a neutral moment or even a unpleasant moment. We can turn that, when we're mindful, a lot of things turn into pleasant moments. So yeah, and it also brings us back to that moment, because mindfulness essentially is being aware of what's happening in the moment with an attitude of kindness and curiosity and acceptance. So the opposite of mindfulness is running on automatic pilot, which is what we tend to do all day long. So an automatic pilot, we're either in the future in our minds worrying or what ifing or going through that to-do list, or in the past we're rehashing a memory or a conversation. But being aware of what's happening in the moment, that's being mindful, which is the opposite of automatic pilot. So these opportunities, these mindful breaks help us. When we sprinkle our day with mindful breaks, then we can stay more in the moment. Not all the time, because nobody can do that, but more often. So it helps us notice when we are starting to get overwhelmed and stressed out. We can catch it sooner. And it also helps us notice more of those beautiful moments that we tend to miss when we're just not aware.
Sure. Yeah, no, I love that. And I would imagine if you do it while you're folding laundry, it's going to be a lot more than 5 minutes. And so that's nice.
Well, yeah, it depends on the loads. Yes.
Like usually in our house, but yeah. But how often a day then do you suggest people try to squeeze these things in? Just whatever works, or is there kind of a like, you want to try for this many, or what's kind of
so it's important again to come back to carving out that time somewhere in your day to establish the habit of meditation. That lays that foundation of practice, and then I recommend that you start with 1 or 2 mindful breaks a week. So you add that in and you try to incorporate that into your day. So it's something you do whenever you fold laundry. It's something you do when you're having your cup of coffee. That becomes a mindful break. So it's not squeezing it in so much as it's, let me have a different attitude towards this experience. So I can slug back that coffee and, think like, oh, I just have to wake up and I don't even know I did it. Versus what if I pause for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and I feel the warmth of the mug, or I smell the coffee and I taste it actually. Yeah. Notice that I'm actually drinking this. I mean, it's 20 seconds, nothing earth shattering. So it's not about squeezing it in. It's about slowing down that pace just a notch when things can actually feel more calm. Because I was a skeptic, believe me, when I first started doing this, I was like, I am not about slowing down. I like to check things off my list. I am very efficient. But so when I tested it out though, I was like, wow, okay, this makes sense. I was more efficient, and I could sustain my energy longer, which is also something as moms. I mean, think about when we're stressed out, we're tight, we're running on that low fight or flight kind of, adrenaline. But when we're calmer, we can sustain that energy, and we all need more of that for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. I love how you're saying to just fitting it in the middle of your day. So, because I know, right, as a mom, it's like, okay, one more thing to do. Like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love how you're saying these are things that you can just, they fit right in with what you're already doing. So it's
exactly
not a thing on the to-do list.
Right. It's changing our experience to it. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. And enjoying all the little moments in life. So.
Right. And it does allow us to be more connected to our kids. So we think about when we're on automatic pilot and our kids want our attention, we're giving that half attention. We all know we do this sometimes. And what happens if I pause instead? And again, take those 10 seconds and look in my child's eyes and notice that face and just, soak that in. That is completely different for both of us. And that can sustain us and them. Yeah. So there's a lot more connection too.
Yeah, no, that's been the biggest thing I've been chatting about with like everyone and through the series is the being connected with your kids and establishing that close relationship and really understanding where they're at. So yeah, it's definitely taking the moment to really connect with them.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know about the 3-breath hug? Has anybody talked about that?
Ooh, no.
Okay, so it's Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk who's, I didn't come up with this, but everybody loves this, which is teaching our kids or our partners, we can do this as well, to give a big bear hug. And then we can coordinate our breaths, 3 inhales and 3 exhales together. And it's so nice. It can be used when we need our children to calm down, and we can kind of, model that with them, for them, and also just to connect. And in my book, I tell the story of I taught this to my daughter when she was young, and when she was 5, I went in the bathroom. I was having a mommy kind of meltdown and I needed to get away. She slid a note under the door that said, "Meet me in my room for a 3-breath hug."
Oh,
And
oh my
yeah,
gosh.
and not only that, but now she's 16, and I was lending some of my old mindfulness books to somebody the other month, and I came across, there it was as a bookmark in the book. I saved it and I came across it, and it was like, oh, so yeah,
Wow.
so they love it too. Kids love those 3-breath hugs.
Yeah, that sounds like that made a really big impact on your daughter. I love that. I mean, anybody can do that. We can breathe together for 3 breaths. I'm pretty sure we can
Exactly.
handle that. That's
Right,
so
right,
sweet.
right.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I love it. And you are talking interchangeably between meditation and mindfulness here a little bit. So I know we had chatted before about that might be something good to explain to people. What is the difference?
Right. So as I said, mindfulness is being in the moment with an attitude of kindness, opposite of autopilot. So meditation is setting aside time in our day to practice that skill of mindfulness. So just like if I would learn to play piano or learn to swim, I can't just read about it or just do it one time and think, well, I've got this now. I have to practice it. It's a skill that needs to be learned. So when we establish that daily habit, we're really familiarizing ourselves with how to get in touch. And so very simply, meditation is choosing a point of focus. Often we'll use the breath because it's with us, it's easy. I might notice how when I relax my belly and I inhale, the belly goes up and it falls when I exhale naturally. And I just notice that. I notice the inhale, the exhale. My mind will wander, which it does very often, always. And then each time it does, I just gently bring it back to that point of focus and begin again. And that is training our attention and training our focus. And that's simply meditation. So the biggest myth I need to dispel is that people will say, well, I tried to meditate, or I'm not good at meditation. And when I say, well, what does that mean? They always say, I can't clear my mind of thoughts. And I say, exactly, because that's not what this is about. So meditation is not about clearing our mind of thoughts. It's about noticing and familiarizing ourselves with those busy thoughts in our busy minds, because we all have that. So it's, if we need to come back, we wander off and come back 50 times in 5 minutes, that's fine. And so when we get started with meditation, it's really helpful to have a voice guiding you. So there are apps for that. On my website, I have a guided meditation, a 5-minute, just my voice, so that you're learning. It's sort of like having training wheels as you get started.
Sure. Yeah, no, I love that. I think people are often feeling like meditation needs to be this really big task. And yeah, if you're not able to, slow down the wheels in your brain, then you're failing at it. So
Exactly. Right.
definitely. Yeah, but
Yep.
definitely very, very important to be able to take a breath and listen to our own thoughts in our head and kind of see what's
Right.
going on. And yeah, I love that.
Right. Yeah, because it drives that we start to notice more, and then we have more awareness of when we are starting to get stressed out. We can notice our body sensations. Maybe our shoulders are tight, or we're clenching our jaw or our fists or something, or our breath starts to become shallow. That's a clue that we can say, oh, I need to take a few breaths. And then we can alter our behavior. We can choose our response rather than just reacting out of habit.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, that's something that I try to teach the kids that I work with too, is how notice what's going on. Yeah, what's happening in your body when something is making you feel stressed out. So
Yes.
yeah, so that we can start to catch it before it gets to the crazy moment when you've
Exactly.
lost it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I know
And I
moms.
have a mindful break for that too. It's called After the Meltdown, our meltdown, the mom's meltdown,
Yeah.
because we all have that. And that's like really painful. We really suffer with that. And we can get on a whole, shame train of like thoughts about how terrible we are. So when we can notice that and offer ourselves some compassion, that's life changing.
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely. And I would imagine, I mean, going through that and then as a mom and then sharing that with your kids too is going to be amazing, going to be such a blessing for them that they can learn how to manage themselves and their own feelings and emotions.
Right. Right. When we model that and then let them know that we can make that repair with them too. Yep.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me to the next thing I wanted to chat about. I mean, how do you think being more mindful as a mom, what are some of the biggest, benefits for the kids that are involved?
Right. Well, probably familiar with the study, and now I can't recall the researchers, but a study was done where parents learned mindfulness meditation and practiced for a year, and the kids learned none. And over a year's time, they saw that the kids' aggressive behavior went down and the social connection went up just from the parents practicing mindfulness and meditation. So we know they're little sponges. We know they soak up our emotions and our moods. So, you know, there's that. The connection piece again, most of us, when we're more relaxed and calm, we're more playful and more creative and can kind of, you know, divert the attention rather than, you know, yell at and lose our temper. So we're more on our game, and, you know, we have that sustained energy. So the kids feel it, we feel it. And like I said, we are able to choose our response in a situation rather than just reacting, and we're modeling it for them too.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the biggest issues, you know, or struggles as a mom is when their kids are having a tantrum is how to stay calm in the midst of that. Do you have any tips for what do you recommend when, you know, they're at the grocery store and the child is like screaming or, you know?
Right. I have a mindful break for that too. Okay. It's called this too is passing, you know, and I talk about how it wasn't a tantrum, but it was taking my son, I think he was 3, to preschool for the first time. And he was just terrified, and he was bawling his eyes out in the back of the car and begging me to not go. And I was like 5.5 minutes to the preschool, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is the longest drive ever. But it was just about, you know, breathing and reminding myself, this is going to pass, and keeping my body calm, because that is super hard. And then we're tense. And again, our brain, the front part of our brain that can think clearly, is hijacked. So we're not able to come up with, we're not even able to remember that this is going to pass. It's just like, oh, you know, Calgon, take me away. But so it's about relaxing, noticing, taking those breaths, relaxing our body sensations and our muscles, and you know, having some kind of mantra that can kind of ground us that this will pass. And so, you know, then we can think clearly and act however we want to do, whether it's a tantrum or getting through a moment like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And are any of the skills or the methods you have in your book, were there things that you recommend that children ever join in with, or is this mostly just for what the moms should do? Or
Right. So I definitely recommend that moms carve out that time. We need that for ourselves too. As long as we're doing that, putting our own oxygen masks on, then absolutely there are a lot of mindful breaks that we can incorporate with kids. So a mindful eating, whether it's a snack or the first bite of our food, to just bring our full attention to what's in front of us and really tasting it using our senses. I talk about the triangle of awareness, which is the 3 points of the triangle being our thoughts, our body sensations, and our emotions. And that's a really nice way to, and they impact one another very quickly. So bringing attention to what's going on in your triangle, if the kids are old enough to kind of be able to understand that. So, you know, I'm feeling sad, and I feel sad as a lump in my throat and maybe heavy in my belly. And my thoughts are, I miss my mommy. I mean, so whatever that is, we can teach them, like you're talking about, you do with your work, is for them to be able to notice and name. And then that's where choice comes in. So that's the whole game. You know, that's so important.
Definitely. Yeah. Noticing what's going on, and then making a better choice of how to calm down, or do you need to remove yourself, or what's going on there. Yeah. Before you get the explosion.
Right. And having said that, so we can use the triangle not only to help us calm down in the stressful moments, but to savor those lovely moments that are neutral too. So we can just be walking outside with our child and say, let's stop. What's going on in your triangle right now? And then that really becomes a sweet moment instead of just something we're not even really noticing.
Yeah. And I think the more you make those connections too, there probably will be a little less stress overall, because you have such a good relationship together and you have that bond.
Right.
Yeah, right. Definitely. And I always like to ask, if you were giving moms of young kids one thing to focus on, what would that be?
Yeah, themselves. I think to, maybe it's two-part, to ask for help, be able to ask for help, that we all need help sometimes. But something else I talk about is giving ourselves mommy high fives, that we are so, so hard on ourselves. And so really talking to ourselves and giving ourselves those yay, good job for the little things, because we expect so much of ourselves. And I know for myself, I can remember 500 things and then I forget the dentist appointment and I'm like, how could I do that? How could I really? And I'm like, well, okay, 499, you were okay. One you missed, but that's what we highlight. So it's really making sure we're recognizing all that we do and doing that for ourselves, because we don't usually get that until our kids have kids. And then they might realize what we've done for them.
Yeah. No, I love that, because I think a lot of moms are, you feel guilty like doing anything for yourself. But I think if you can think about it in the way that if you take care of yourself, then you're going to be a better mom to your kids.
Absolutely.
Then ultimately what you're doing is for your kids also. So,
right.
Yeah. Get rid of that mommy guilt.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I know you have some great resources on your website for parents, so they can learn some more. If you want to share a little bit about that.
Sure. On the resource page at my website, I have the free 5-minute guided meditation. I have a guided coffee mindful break. And I have also what's called a mindful log, where you can print it out and track your progress. So each day you can mark down how long you meditated, what you noticed, what mindful breaks you're practicing that day, just to kind of keep you accountable. And I also have a Breathe Mama Breathe book club guide, and other resources as well.
Nice. And what's the best way to get your book? Probably just going on Amazon or
any bookseller. Yep.
Okay, great. I love it. I mean, I think this is something so important. In this series, I'm chatting with so many people about child development, but if we don't take care of ourselves as a mom, then a lot of that stuff's going to go out the window, because we're not
absolutely
going to be able to think and act the way that we wish we were able to.
Right. Definitely. That's why I'm glad you're doing this.
Thank you. I'm so glad for what you do. Thank you so much, Shonda. So make sure to go over to her website. That link is going to be in the email with this interview. So, and have a wonderful day. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Thanks. Thank you.